All right, let's call the meeting back to order. Yeah. From our brief recess. All right, we were looking at, health department. Is that what we're looking at?
Yes, and we have an MOE with the health department, so we have to fund them at that amount.
So we're gonna increase their maintenance of effort,
No,
okay?
we don't, well, actually, it actually will,
Maintenance of effort.
yeah, it will increase the MOE a little bit.
Sorry. All right, let's move on to the next one. Any questions about that one?
Which one was it on?
That was the health department.
55110, where we're at.
The next one is the animal shelter. Of course, last year, or the current year we're in right now, was the first year we had ever fully budgeted for it, so we didn't know what to expect. I feel like she had only asked for 25,000 in her veterinary services. I increased that to 30 based on what we've already spent. And I still don't know that will be enough. Also, her utilities, I increased that amount. I think she had asked for 11,000 and I increased it to 12,600 based on what we've spent.
And we're still splitting the overall
Yes.
cost with the city, right?
Correct.
Still paying half of this.
And this also has the contribution to FOCA in this budget as well.
Oh, is that in there?
It is. It's where it has always been, and I can move that out to another function so that it doesn't look like that is an expense of the animal shelter, because it's not. But that's where it had always been before we took over the animal shelter.
That means the city pays half of it.
No, not that.
Well,
That is true, Barry. Thank you for pointing that out. Now, that is, the city does not pay half of that $35,000.
So audit doesn't have a problem with doing it under there? I'm just thinking, it looks like they would want that under a charitable contribution.
They've never said that. They have to go by, they have to provide the same information as all of the charitable contributions.
Right.
The reason it's under there is because that function code is called rabies and animal control, and we're giving them that money for animal control.
It keeps it to that specific.
Which is why it's there, but I can move that to other social, cultural.
At the end of the day, it's saying people are going back into the program.
No,
I think it's a good place for it right there, as long as they're not, as long as they don't ding that.
Yeah, that's what I
Yeah,
don't,
no, audit doesn't have an issue with it.
Well, if it's in their budget, we have to approve it in there. What else?
It's not included in, she didn't ask for that. I put it in there because the request was approved.
And FOCA paid $10,700 in vet bills, not included in this request? Is that what I'm seeing there?
That's what she said.
So that's in addition to,
That's in 25-26. That's in addition to the 34.5 that we have spent.
okay. Yeah,
That's why spay neuter is so.
it's important. All right, moving on. Any other questions about that? Okay, let's go to ambulance service, where we're at now. So, all right, so when you saw that number
150.
150 hit the fund balance, that did not include any raises at all for the county-wide departments, and it did not include what I am going to propose tonight for EMS. We have made leaps and bounds and strides in the last 4 years in funding our emergency services in this county, from EMS to county fire, even the sheriff's department, getting them up to competitive wages. EMS is a department where we're constantly fighting to keep staffing, and then also to have the staffing we need, and have the leaders that we need. So there's a few changes that I've made and recommended to the committee tonight. One is I'm recommending that we pay supervisors more than just 50 cents. Right now, supervisors make 50 cents more an hour to be a supervisor. Now, if you've ever supervised people, and everybody on this table has, it ain't worth 50 cents to do it. And it's not worth $2 either most of the time, but I'm recommending a $2 increase for supervisor pay. One, it'll help us retain supervision, and also help us develop supervisors a little bit deeper and expect more out of them. So that's one recommendation I'm making tonight. I'm also recommending to the commission that we change from a 24-48 shift to a 24-72 shift. Now, it is gonna cost us considerable more money, but this is what every other ambulance service around us is doing at this point in time. We talked about it last several years, it's just a matter of time we're gonna have to go to this. I think one, it'll help our employee retention. Two, it's gonna help morale among that team to have an extra day. 30 days less a year they'll have to work, I think it is. Have an extra day to be able to recuperate from being on a 24-hour shift. And oftentimes they never get an 8 hours of sleep while they're on a 24-hour shift. I don't think that ever happens. So opportunity for them to recuperate some time. We have planned this number, am I right, Randy, with a 5% decrease?
Yes.
Is that right, in their overall pay? So what that means is, we asked the EMS department, the employees, what would you be willing to give to make this possible? And you can talk about the difference in those numbers, but.
I didn't bring that calculation with me, but it varies from, like a 2% decrease to a 7% decrease. It averages out to 5. It just depends on, Kane had come up with a pay scale based on years of experience inside the county and just in EMS in general. And when you put them on that pay scale, that's why it varies.
So with this comes a new pay scale calculation that if they've had a year of service with us, that counts more for them. If they have 8 years of experience elsewhere, that also counts, but it doesn't count as much as being 8 years with us. It's actually 8 years with us would count double what it would count 8 years somewhere else. So that's going to create some loyalty pay and various things, incentives and things of that nature. So we're looking at overall, Brandy, the increase is $567,784. If we switched right now with that 5% average adjustment on their overall annual salaries, if we switch that right now, that's what we would be adding to our hit to fund balance. And for them to make up that difference in that 5%, which is an average, by the way, some it's 3, some it's 7, 8. They just pick up a couple extra shifts throughout the year, and they would be able to make the same amount of money. So like, it's still 30 days less work. They may work 4 or 5 more days. So they may only have 24 days off compared to what they're working now, but they'll still make the same kind of money. So the opportunity's there for them. Also some different incentives for holiday pay and various things like that. And we don't have to go in the weeds on all that, but this is my recommendation. We've been working hard to make this happen, guys, and I think it's due time that we help the people that are there in our most critical moments and in need, and be able to retain some employees, and then also be able to take care of our people. We've got top-notch people in that department, and I'm excited about this opportunity, and I think we're well in the position to be able to do this at this point in time, and I'll recommend it to the commission and to this budget committee.
Where are we on the revenue side for EMS since we've gotten the new buildings and all that?
Hopefully it's big.
Yeah, I mean, it's better.
It's on page 2 of that large document. We should receive about 2.38 million. I'm not seeing that much of an increase. Now, half of that year was with the old company.
I'm missing.
Down towards the bottom,
Page
patient
2,
charges.
43.
43, what?
43, 120.
Patient charges.
Patient
Okay.
Last year it was 2.6 million. This year I'm
Audited,
estimating,
right?
audited.
2.6 audited.
This year I'm estimating 2.38. But we did have the switch over, in the billing companies. So I'm kind of chalking that up to that. I'm not sure, but I am seeing month to month better income than I was before we switched.
But we're not seeing 26.
No, we're not seeing that.
Of course, that's a good sales pitch about the company.
But it
should
is
be
growing
optimized.
each month also.
We are growing though. It's gotten
It is
better
growing
for
each
sure.
month.
So we're roughly, our revenues are about half of our expenditures, right?
Yes.
Yeah, a little more, yeah, a little more than half. Yeah, about half. again, by law, we provide this service, and the service is there, but when somebody uses the service, property tax dollars help pay for the service to be there, put it there, employees are there, but when a citizen needs it, the citizen's insurance or Medicare or Medicaid steps up and helps pay the cost of that trip and the work that's done in that moment.
It also cuts down on your, overtime pay that you're paying out, and it will also cut down on your holiday pay as well.
Kane, would you like to add anything?
So
Michelle's
one-
on vacation.
Yeah, Michelle's on vacation. She wanted to tell you guys she apologized she couldn't be here. One thing that we talked about last year to try to help with revenue is looking at collections agency. With our swap over with purchasing agents, there was some stuff there that I believe, Brandy, you can correct me if I'm wrong, we need to bid that out again.
It did get bid out, but we did not receive any, but we can bid that out again.
So that's one thing that I think we need to look at. We need to hold people accountable if they're going to use the service. They need to pay for the service. Other than that, as far as the 24/72 schedule, 4 years ago we looked at EMS and there were three things that we knew we needed to address, and it was pay, the number of trucks we're running every day, and the schedule we were on. In Region 6 right now, us and Coffee County are the only two counties remaining that continue to work a 24/48 schedule. If you're not familiar with the 24/48 schedule, working 24 hours, then your next 24 hours you're recovering from the 24 hours you worked, and you really have one day off, and that day you're already looking at what do I get to get together to go back to work for. One thing to consider is retention. Right now, the national average of a retention of EMS professionals for a career is 7 years. If you look at an individual who works a 24/48 shift for a 30-year career, that's what we ask them to work in Lawrence County to retire fully. The number of hours that they work is equal to 42 years of service. They work 12.1 additional years worth of hours to retire with a 30-year career. That's what the 24/72 schedule does. It brings them back to being comparable to other careers, a 40-hour work week, comparable healthcare fields, work 36 hours a week typically. We know that the stress and the trauma that they deal with builds up, and the studies show that they've got to have time to process that.
Are you seeing the numbers better in 24/48, or better in 24/72 versus 24/48 as far as all that goes, as far as stress and retention?
Yeah, so there was a study that just got released at the beginning of June from out west, I believe. They surveyed like 20-something different departments that had been on this schedule somewhere between 1 and 5 years. 82% of those services said that they were very satisfied. 100% said that they were satisfied. They saw a 62.5% reduction in sick leave between those services, and everybody reported increase in morale and increase in work potential. When these people are well rested, they can come in and they can do a better job. If you think about being exhausted in that building shift after shift after shift after shift, eventually you start thinking about the decisions that they have to make at 2 o'clock in the morning in the back of a moving vehicle. They're making medication dosage decisions. They're making decisions about what treatments they need to give for their patients. When they have that continual stress and exhaustion building up, the ability to make those decisions decrease. You're more likely to have vehicle collisions. You're more likely to make patient care mistakes. Overall, all the counties that I've talked to have seen an improvement in their workforce. And recently we had a paramedic position come open. When I put that position out for the first probably 2 weeks, I had no applicants. I had 3 people contact me. Out of those 3 people, their first question was, what schedule do you work? And when I told them 24/48, 2 of the 3 never responded to a single thing I had to say after that. And one of them responded, but I could tell that he was doing it out of the niceness of his heart. To be able to recruit good quality people, we gotta be competitive.
And to keep the quality ones we have now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Every person that has left our service has went to a service with better skill.
So if we go to the 2472, pay-wise, are we compared to the other places that already are on?
So what I did is I pulled salaries from some of the surrounding counties that I can get information from.
I'm sure they want to give it to you.
Yeah. Giles County, Marshall County are the biggest ones that I've looked at. Our pay is slightly higher than Marshall County. Marshall County is slightly higher than Giles County because we're going to have to be a little bit higher to be able to recruit those people. We've got some individuals that I've talked to in the last probably 2 to 3 weeks. Got a guy who works with us regularly part-time, and I would say 50% of the days that he leaves shift, he comes by my office and says, "Hey, have a good day. Don't forget, if you ever go back to 2472s, I'll be back in a heartbeat." And he would be an employee that I would have back tomorrow.
So if we go to this, we got the 5th ambulance now, right?
Correct.
And the pay, I mean, we should be on top of everybody.
That was the 3 things that when we looked 4 years ago, pay, the number of trucks we worked, and the schedule were the 3 things that we knew were going to need to be addressed. We knew we couldn't do them all at once. Pay was our first thing. You guys gave us that $4 an hour raise. That was super helpful. We went back to the crews and we asked them, do you want to go for 2472s or do you want to go for a 5th truck? And they chose to go for a 5th truck first because they said it will help reduce their call volume on us, but it's also a benefit to the citizens of the county. And now this is that last piece that we know that we've got to do to continue being competitive. And this is the thing, as we move forward, looking into the future, this is the future. Counties all across the place. The state of Florida just passed a law unanimously in both chambers. Their suggestion at a state level is for EMS and fire to be working a 42-hour work week, which is what the 2472 schedule is. Services all across the country are going to this
And
schedule.
Coffee County's on its way too. I was with the mayor this morning at a board meeting. So, yes, sir, Mr. Lutton.
I've done a little checking, asking questions of some people that are working this shift and some people that are knowledgeable about it, and everything I have heard has been very positive about the outcome of, like he said, the morale and stuff. So I think we really ought to, consider this.
Thank you for that. I agree.
I've done, like I said, a little checking on my own.
I appreciate that.
All right, is this something we need to just lump into the entire budget?
I've got it over here on this checklist to go
And we'll need to
through.
go back through and make motions and.
That is keeping the 5th truck as a full-time,
Yes.
24-hour service
24 hours a
truck.
day.
Yes.
That's how it was. Yes, sir.
And the next step for us down the road is maybe 12-hour, to do a
And a
12-hour
transport
truck and transport van, where you can put. Anyway, there's other things we
It's
can keep.
impossible to just have a driver and somebody in the back now, because the law's changed, but that's, yeah, I agree.
There's more we're gonna consider, but this is the big ticket item right here, is to get the schedule right.
Yeah.
I met with one of the shifts a few months ago, sat over there for about 2.5 hours talking to them. And, one young lady, she had to get up and leave the conversation, just broke down in tears over a lot of, just being stressed to them. She's young, man. And I thought, wow, she jumped into this career and what can we do to help them? So they see a lot of stuff, man. I don't know that I can do that job, guys. I just don't know that I
Do
can.
you have the personnel now for it or no?
So obviously we've had to hire extra people full time. Between the people that have, between the ones who I think would be interested in coming back, we have a lot of part-time advanced EMTs that are chomping at the bits for jobs. I think it wouldn't take us much at all to fill those positions.
All right, any other discussion on that? Thoughts?
Brady, did we end up putting the state stuff in the budget, or were we gonna?
Oh, let me talk about that.
Yeah.
Okay, so, great news, the state just passed a grant for rural counties to get a new ambulance. So we were just given, huh?
No, we gotta get them on rotation anyway.
Yeah, but that helps us get this rotation
Yeah,
going,
yeah.
so 200 and what?
300, my understanding is 305,000.
$305,000 for
The
the
contract
state.
came
So
earlier this week.
kudos to our state reps.
Where are we gonna find 96 ambulances?
Better get your rent down.
Rural
So,
counties, rural counties.
yeah, there's only like 80 counties that are gonna get them, and let me
Where are you gonna find 80?
well, let me tell you something. The ambulance dealers knew this was coming,
They're excited.
and they got trucks lined up. I talked to a guy yesterday, the company we typically buy trucks from. He sent me a text today and said he could potentially have us a truck by February.
Seems like the ambulance.
100%.
Got a good lobby.
305,000 to us to use however.
That's with the lift assist equipment, all that.
And we just rolled off a 2012 truck, right?
Yes, we just rolled off
So what would be our next one to roll off?
I would have to look at the mileage and the maintenance logs on them. I think there's a 2018 truck that'll probably roll. I'm just throwing that out there. If actually no, maybe a 2015.
And with hopeful optimism, this could be an annual thing for a little while. That's the optimistic hope that a lot of people in the EMS service have statewide.
This is rural health transformation funds.
Yes. So we'll pressure our legislators to keep that going, and then the new governor too, keep it going. We're just getting some of our sales, that 7% sales tax they keep, that's that back.
$4,000.
All right, anything else?
They're taking millions to give us 300,000.
I know, they throw us a phone every now and then.
That's included in both of those columns on the budget because there's no hit to fund balance on it, there's revenue coming in.
Say that one more time, I'm sorry.
That is included in both columns on that budget because there's no hit to fund balance for that grant. It's 100% funded.
Gotcha.
All right, any questions about ambulance service? All right, let's move on here.
The next colorful page is the Drug Coalition grants. There are five of them in this function, and they are what they are, what the state gives us, so. The next one is the Drug Free Communities grant. This one comes from the federal government, which is why it's in a separate function code by itself. Okay, so 100% grant, 125,000 a year, and then we'll have some rollover funds.
Other local health services.
All right,
The next one is appropriation to state. This is the DGA grant that we received to pay employees at the health department and some of their expenses. It's 100% also.
next,
Uh,
other public health and welfare.
Yes. That is where the opioid abatement, payments that we receive them and then we have to we turn around and pay them back out. That's what that 346,800 is. And then we pay dues to South Central Human Resources Agency and the dead stock removal contract.
By the way, let me give you a heads up on the dead stock removal. The state of Tennessee Department of Agriculture has cut that from the developmental district, from our district. So they're not contributing that anymore after this year. They've cut the allocation down to $100,000. So our contribution would have to be considerably increased to keep that as a free service for livestock producers in Lawrence County. Right now, it's a free service for them, outside of, their pay tax and all that, that's coming, tax money coming back. So I have petitioned the State Department of Agriculture. I've been up there, me and Paul Rawson and a couple of the county mayors, we went on the floor, in one of the committee meetings, trying to get this change back. All of our representatives fought for it. We produce 38% of the cattle in the state of Tennessee in this district, but no other district is getting this. And so somebody found that out, started complaining, well, why is it our district getting that and nobody else is getting that? And so Andy Holt, went up there and tried our best to work it back into his budget. He said we're just not gonna do it. So, anyway, there'll be some questions about that. Producers are gonna have to start paying for that service or dragging them in the back of the farm, which is the whole reason why this service was provided in the first place years ago. It used to be a moneymaker, was why it started out free. There's a company that used the carcasses and the meat to turn it into dog food. But then after mad cow disease came around, a two-year-old cow keeps that mad cow disease in their muscle fiber. And so they don't use them, they couldn't use them anymore for dog food. There's no way to tell a dead animal hardly, 2 years or younger or older. Hey, we'll come pick up a 2-year-old, but not a 2.5-year-old. So that's why the state stepped in and started paying for it years ago and helping, but now it's gone. So this is the last year there'll be any money for it. But something you'll be hearing us discussing, cattle people will be discussing that over the next year. So, all right, senior citizens.
This is just the contributions to all of the senior citizens that were approved by the budget committee and the nonprofit committee on 6/1. The next is the library.
Libraries. Miss Marie is here with us tonight. Thank you for hanging around so long.
No problem.
Exciting
No
meeting.
problem. Yes, so you asked me to cut a few things, so I cut a little bit and just trimming here and there, instructional materials. I got rid of our other supplies and materials, which was swag. We're gonna ask our friends in the library to pick that up. The only thing I thought you might have a question on was our capital outlay. Because I heard somebody had a comment about that.
It was talking about the
Space audit, I believe.
space
Yes.
audit and
Space
architectural
audit.
features, right?
Yes, so that 23.5 is to pay for an architect, a surveyor, and a space auditor. Third Way Space, they audit a space to determine how to most efficiently use and redesign your library. I mean, I can't do that. How's workflow gonna go, the way people flow through and stuff like that. Now, that being said, I know back in March, the commission approved that we get that property. The seller has not been selling it. I've talked to Ryan Durham a couple times on it. He says there's some internal issues
The family.
with the family. And then I talked to him a couple weeks ago. He goes, he's actively trying to contact them to find out what's going on. So I know you guys were awesome, and the city's been awesome doing everything. So I'm not even sure we're gonna get that property. I'm hoping we do, but I don't know what the weather is.
I'll reach out to John to see where they're at. Okay.
My board chair is also here to talk about a couple other items on the list.
Yes, I'm Lucas Hunt, your board chair for the library, so I'm Marie's boss technically, according to the state. I don't take that responsibility, but they give it to me. Anyway, raises. The state basically grades your library based off of your population. We are right on the cusp of becoming a level 5, which is the highest level that a library can be. When we reach over 50,000 people, we will hit that mark. So the board decided to ask for modest raises for the director and the assistant director to better in line with not only the current level 4 libraries, but also the level 5 libraries. So that's where those raises are coming from, and also from a kind of change in job description. We have tasked Marie with more being out in the community, going to community functions, being more present, having the library presence out there, while the assistant has taken on more of the day-to-day running of the library responsibilities, while Marie is out shaking hands, kissing babies. And just to give y'all also the travel budget we raised, because I and the board wanted Marie to attend a national conference of small and rural libraries. We haven't done that probably in 20 years in Lawrence County. And that's really where you get to see where other libraries, how they're functioning, what they're doing, innovative, other libraries our size. And so This year it is in Birmingham, and so that's why we asked for such an increase in the travel budget to get her to send her to that conference. And just to let you know, in the past 8 months, we have seen a 22% increase in visitors and a 65% increase in programming in just the past 8 months. So more people are visiting the library, more people are using its services, and we did some fancy math, and your return on investment for this, your ROI, is about 2.5 million. That's the services we provide.
Okay.
Where, like if you check out a book, you're saving $10. If you attend one of our programs, that counts as $15. And so we ran all the numbers, and your return on investment per year is 2.5 million. That Lawrence County the Public Library is providing for this county.
Great, thank you, Lucas. Appreciate you being here.
You.
Any questions or concerns, thoughts about the request here? I'd recommend to the committee that we make these raises possible. Of course, we're going to look at potential raises across the board in the county, so we may look and see how that computes in comparison to this, right?
Well, and the board is asking for the raises in addition to any county-wide raises.
Okay.
Because that's what will because we are lagging behind in the salaries of our director and assistant director. And so in order to keep them, we would like to pay them what other libraries of our size are making.
Okay. Any questions? All right, thank you. Roy, thank you. Williams. All right. Other social, cultural, and recreational.
These are also,
Skills USA, contribution,
discretionary fund.
Veterans Park, contribution, that was just one
No, that was
year.
the pavilion, that was 23.5. That was a contribution.
So this is this is from the nonprofit committee.
Mhm.
Okay, all right. This is just specifically the nonprofit request, right?
No, this is a portion of that list that you guys approved on 6-1. It's in about 4 different places in this budget, based on what
Based on
What the-
department.
organization does.
Okay, all right. Is there any questions about that? All right, moving on.
Next is the ag extension. They had an employee to retire. She was working part-time and we only paid her very few hours. They're removing that position and adding it to they added a full-time 4-H program assistant, and then an admin assistant on the UT and the TSU side.
Okay, any questions about that? Moving on. Soil Conservation District. Any questions about that?
When we asked her to cut, her budget is pretty bare bones to begin with. She had offered for us to cut her travel line, although she begged us not to. And in her budget, I don't think it would make, it's $1,400. So if we have to cut it, she said that would be the only place she could cut it.
She didn't spend any money on travel in 25, 26?
She did not. She went somewhere in 24, 25. She does not travel every year.
Okay.
She went somewhere in
I said leave it
23,
there.
24.
Just if it's
I
surplus,
agree.
if it's surplus later, it's surplus. All right, here we go. Getting down to 58110, tourism. Okay,
This was also on the list that was approved by the nonprofit and budget committees. This does not include the chamber or,
Main Street.
Main Street.
All right. So was this other things that are considered?
Like
for
Loretta
this?
Lift Up and, the Civil War, well, not Civil War, the Historical Society, that's what.
Okay, that's 23,000 there,
Mhm.
okay. All right, so here we are at 58120, industrial development. All right, Mr. Egley is here tonight to talk with us about that. You all can see, Randy, can you break these numbers down, audited, estimated? Estimated.
I don't have that with me tonight,
No, I'm just saying, can you give us an understanding
Oh, okay.
of the increase there?
The audited number for 24-25 was 205, 479. And then in 25-26, it was 262, or yeah, 562.
And that was the
740.
contribution.
And that includes that $161,000 contribution, one-time contribution that we made in lieu of TIF payments that had not been made. And then their request this year is 401,740. That includes 241,740 to go to the board, 150,000 to the chamber, and 10,000 to Main Street.
All right, I would recommend that we fully fund, this request, and I have talked with Mr. Egley about more representation from the commission on the Joint Economic Development Board. You know, depending on how the next 60 days go for me, if I'm still in here in the fall, my recommendation to the commission, even on going out the door, if I'm not here, would be to separate, have a committee just for economic development, and tourism, and then separate the nonprofit committee from that. And my recommendation then would be someone from that committee, maybe the chairman of that economic development committee, would be the ex officio that sits on the Joint Economic Development Board, which has representation from around the county on that board. It's the city mayors, myself's on there, and then there's various others that are on that board. Steve Hill chairs that board right now. So I think that would help. And Ryan, you can speak a little bit to your request here, talk a little bit about, you know, how this all plays out and the benefits.
Sure. So first off, thank you all for your continued partnership. We have a structure here in Lawrence County that I guess turns 27 years old this year, meaning that's how long the Joint Economic and Community Development Board has been in place as part of the Tennessee Growth Policy Act of '99. Every county does economic development differently. We've talked about this in the past. Some counties have full-time staff that are joint board staff, and others have industrial board staff, and in successful communities, so ours, I think Williamson County, Murray County, Knox, Hamilton, it's a public-private partnership because everyone wants the business community in on that. So with that in mind, this year's request is identical to last year's request. And Randy, I know that you mentioned that 150 Chamber of Commerce for tourism. Our goal was to get everything through the joint board for a number of purposes. Mainly, it's just the pass-through place, basically. So the structure of our organization, from the joint board side, like David alluded to, there is public sector and private sector on there. It is a board that is audited annually. We have spent the better part of 8 months after we've now began staffing it, looking for the interlocal agreements and bylaws, and we've finally tracked those down. We're excited to breathe some new life into that board and make it more open to the public than it has been in the past. That's our commitment to you, since we are now staffing it. And so by law, it has to meet quarterly. And with that in mind, though, the structure is the joint board says, hey, we want to do economic development. They kind of ask the question, do we want to staff ourselves, or do we want to contract with somebody? In this case, we've contracted with the Chamber of Commerce for 25 years. Since 2015, we've done the same kind of with tourism, except that's been a direct appropriation from the county. We're trying to get that injected
Through the joint board
instead. So just to be clear, like last year, I think that tourism funding came just as a one-time check in July. We're open to, and then actually would prefer that to come to the joint board, maybe on a quarterly basis in the event, COVID happens and no more lodging tax is coming in. Does that make sense? Yeah. So but that's kind of the structure where we're going to go. But with all that in mind, I'm here just to answer any questions you might have about that structure, our request. Again, it's no different than last year's request.
Let me give you a list of who's on the joint board as well. Steve Hill's the chairman of that board. Vice chair is the city mayor of Lawrenceburg, Blake Lay. Secretary treasurer Gina O. Michael Crane, Brian Green, Jim Combs, Stacy Shedd, Chase Atkins, Jeff Pettis, Michael Atkins. Ex officio members include myself, Dallas Luna, City Mayor, Beth Rich, Blake Blaze, ex officio as well, Steve McMaster, City Mayor Loretta, Bo Carter, City Mayor of St. Joseph. So that's currently who sits on that board. And again, when I came into office, that board wasn't really meeting regularly.
Well, so that one by law was meeting regularly, quarterly, because we had to report to the state,
Okay.
everyone's participating, because if not
It was
everyone's.
IDB that was.
Yeah, it's the IDB, that's right, and that's why the TIF payments weren't being made over time, again, now we're staffing that, we're trying to stand that up. But the joint board, has always met regularly, which is good, because again, that ensures compliance. As an example, right now, Etheridge is out of compliance, and so when the state asked me, the city of Etheridge goes after a grant, they ask that question, I'm trying to like, hey guys, you probably need to start coming to the meetings and stuff, because it could turn off the grant funding for our cities and county, and if we don't fund or partner appropriately, so.
It's one of the most comprehensive boards as far as representation from around the county.
Who appoints the joint board?
Great question. So right now it's kind of a self-appointing entity, of course with the mayors on there, and that list of names going forward. Now with that said, I found an interlocal agreement. I'm not sure that is whether in compliance with that. It's actually supposed to be ratified by the commission or the council, depending on who brings the nomination, whether it's the county mayor or city. So again, we're digging into that deeper, Bill.
And I will say, since the chamber got involved in managing that board and the IDB,
Yeah.
I mean, we're looking at the compliance stuff way more and
Financials, audits,
anyway, all that's being looked at better, and then of course we got the help of the legal team that's on board to help us out too. So
So I know you explained this to me before, but I've slept since then, so the IDB though,
Yep.
what is its actual function?
Okay, great question, Scott. So let's go back to the joint board real fast. It is purely two things. It's operational, so make sure you have someone or group of people there day to day to do project management for economic development, do the grant writing, the compliance, all those
state
things.
law.
Yeah, all those things. The IDB is really the capital side. So for example, right now our structure is the city, if there's a tax deal that needs to be done with an industry, the city is the one that effectuates that. If there's no rhyme or reason why we do this, by the way, it's just how it's been. The county is the one that's always done the land transactions. Does that make sense? So I'm really excited, actually today we submitted a grant to USDA because there's a lot of power in the IDBs that we're not leveraging. And I think, Phil, you and I talked at length about, what would it be like for the growth to pay for itself? And we actually think the IDB is the answer to that. So we submitted a grant, it's a $75,000 grant, $60,000 grant, the chamber's gonna make a match for it. But to give us a plan to put it together and be more comprehensive, because again, we have a weak IDB. Even though it functions, it's ad hoc. They only meet as needed. Yeah.
Well, I knew the IDB was involved, like when we did the industrial park
Yep.
and trying to get the land for the expansion of the industrial park and all that, but I wasn't really sure how that played into the joint board,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, so picture this too, like the joint board, when we write grants, a lot of times they'll come through the joint board.
Right.
Or, for example, and I'm just being very specific with Magna International as an example, when the state says, hey, here's your incentive, that money's gonna come through the joint board and then be dispersed to the company instead of state directed company.
Right.
And so again, that's why there's a lot of compliance issues, because you're talking about a few $100,000 at a time flowing through there, but it's very much a pass-through type organization and board.
So you got 3 different boards
And my boards and committees at the chamber too.
at the chamber. So what's the difference in the joint board?
And the chamber board.
Yeah.
So picture like this. The Chamber of Commerce is a 501c6 nonprofit organization. We provide the services that the joint board and you guys
Joint board
contracts with the chamber to execute the economic development plan of work. That's just a model that counties across the state have adopted. Not everyone does it that way, but it works really well for us because it forces us another layer of business input into the process. In 2019, we realized there was a gap where we needed more public sector representation on the chamber board too. And at the same time, the mayors came on board then too, because the mayors were meeting quarterly with the joint board, getting the exact same information, but the chamber board meets bi-monthly, so every other month. So there's always this information being given quarterly to the joint board, bi-monthly to the chamber board, monthly to our finance committee and to our executive committee. And then we've been coming to, of course, the county commission, trying to do these quarterly. IDB for the county, we're also trying to do that quarterly. So, but there are, and then there's 4 other IDBs. Every city has one.
Are all these board members volunteers?
Yes.
So talk about the makeup of your chamber board. You got chamber members, right? Business,
Yeah.
so people that are members of the chamber on that board. You've got ex officios on there.
Yeah, so there are, there's a floating number of private sector members, 11 to 13. For example, like a couple years ago, we had the hospital CEO and he moved off and that created a weird vacancy situation. So we updated our bylaws, I think 3 years ago to say, hey, let's go ahead and always have 13 in the event maybe one of these people move and it kind of gives us some stuff. But so right now we have 13 private sector members. And then we have, of course, the county executive, 4 mayors of Lawrenceburg, Guthrie, St. Joe, and Loretta, the CEO of the utility system, so Vic Pusser's on the board, and then Mr. Michael Atkins also is on our board, so schools. So it's not quite 50-50 from that perspective, but it's a strong group of people.
But again, the joint board contracts with the chamber to do economic development.
Yeah, that's the relationship there.
That's why y'all kept talking about putting, if we did split it up and you made the chairman going on the joint board, so I was trying to figure out what's the difference in the chamber board and the joint board.
Joint board doesn't have the chamber members on, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's something different. Yeah. So the chamber board has to be comprised of chamber members.
Correct.
Gotcha.
Because it's actually a separate entity.
Yeah, we're not
Because they provide a service for their membership.
right.
With 3 boards.
Well, I think it's the same too, but here we are.
So is this where all our hotel motel taxes going?
Not technically. So I think last year, Randy, there were $250,000 budgeted in hotel motel tax, and we, if you remember, 2 years ago, that number went from $50,000 a year to $150,000 a year because the hotel motel tax had gone from $90,000 to $230,000.
We're
That was
estimating 304 this.
yeah, and it's going to be more than that, by the way. I mean, it's incredible with the New Hampton opening.
So
We're
that's
just
not-
mimicking the number from last year.
Yes,
We already
that's
have
not,
figured.
that's not including
Really?
the new one opening.
Oh wow, that's great.
So the rest
When
of
does
it
it
is
open?
just
It's up.
It's been open since April.
taxpayer
Oh,
paying.
Well, I'm just saying of the tourism dollars, I mean, hotel motel tax, what they're not asking for here. How much of the 401-740 is?
So of the 401-740, 10,000 is Main Street. That goes through the joint board. That's the county partnership there. There's 150,000. That's the tourism development money. That's all lodging tax request. And then the 241-740, I think is the number, is that joint board formulated number.
That's the tax.
Property tax dollars are funding the rest of that, right? So it's every bit of this hotel motel tax going toward this 401-740.
it can, yes. Our hotel motel tax is supposed to be, we have a private act that says we're supposed to use it for economic and industrial development.
And there's a big clause in there of different things.
And I would say, would you not say that the chamber is economic and industrial development as well?
Yeah. So
Yes.
going back in time just a little bit, if you'll allow me, the 2015, the hotel motel tax generated $90,000, and 10,000 of it was being used for tourism development, and there was a separate group running that.
That was a mess.
It was a mess. Yeah, $80,000 that was then basically used for the local nonprofits. That's kind of how it's worked. Really, we weren't really using that money for economic development, but it was just becoming an appropriation. It's also important to note that the county didn't fund for a few years under 2 administrations ago. If you remember that.
It's funded it all.
Yeah, so the city picked up the tab, if you will. But as the lodging tax grew and we got more serious about tourism as an economic driver, under T.R. Williams' first year, he took that 10,000 to 30,000 and said, "Here, chamber, do tourism." Well, we had a lot of learning to do because we didn't really know what that meant, and we finally figured it out, like actually. And So that's why we went from 10 to 30, we went from 30 to 50. We got a big tranche of federal funding through the American Rescue Plan come through us, actually about $200,000, where we stood up a program. That money was used to hire staff and finally figure out, hey, is this the direction we want to go? And at that time, that's when I came to the commission and said, hey, this money's now going away. We figured out the strategy, and it's going to basically help bring in more lodging tax. And the handshake I made with David was, give me 3 years of $150,000. We're not going to ask for any more ever, because we're just going to do it and see. And you can see the results. That lodging tax number continues to grow, and that's just the tourism front. Now,
what's our ROI on every tourism dollar we?
Well, so the state ROI is for every state dollar that goes in, $14 is returned. I didn't do it specific to tourism, but I did for the county investment. We've been, again, just thinking about our track record over the last 4 or 5 years. For every dollar that the county's put in over the last 4 years, you receive $37 back in various forms. Just the last 4 years, we've had $950,000 worth of property tax income just on the industrial side. And that's just as of today. There's more coming. And
But the tourism spending is
it's incredible. Yeah. They're about $30 million a year comes through. Again, it's real money.
That's based on state data, right?
Yeah, based on state data. And then what's awesome is the model that we have is recognized now as this is how you do tourism in rural communities. I'm on the Tennessee Tourism Committee, was with the commissioner last week, and they're trying to figure out how we got to where we're at and how they can replicate that across other communities.
We actually are, Lawrence County is actually seeing more tourism income than your average rural county our size. And, they're highlighting a few different things. The park is a big one, and the Amish is a big part of that. There's various other things too.
Yeah, new hotels.
I even got asked to speak on a panel at one of our state conventions about tourism in Lawrence County and whatnot. So, which is pretty cool. And a lot of times we live here and we don't think about it, but there's a lot of people that come here and spend money here.
Oh yeah, you can go anywhere and like go to the State Department, like, oh, you're where David Crockett is, like you.
Yeah, they know us.
Yeah,
they know
so
our
they're
park.
like, oh, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Hey, and with that in mind, the state is, state's making a new investment with the new welcome center they're gonna build here and all that. I know the restaurant is changing its way it works.
Big baseball tournament this weekend at Bobby Brewer, all the hotel rooms are sold out.
Slammed up. Yeah, my son's playing in that
I
state
do want to
tournament.
ask one thing, so to make sure I got the right number, the hotel motel tax that we're projecting is 304.
Correct.
But there's no Hampton Inn in that. When is
It's open and it's
I was gonna say, I thought it was going.
Yeah.
But we don't have a year's prior numbers.
Oh, yeah, I get you.
We did project about 90,000 in county additional
I
revenue.
was going to say, I'd expect somewhere 9,200.
Why was the request for Lawrenceburg dropped by 75,000?
It was increased. So
Not according to this sheet.
are you looking at the joint board budget?
Yep.
Yes, sir. So their request on the tourism front is because they passed a lodging tax after a state law was implemented that says 100% of it must go to your destination marketing organization. And we serve as the state designated, it's called a DMO. And so they gave us $25,000 the first year that they implemented that because there was not a prior year done. So that's gone from 25 now to 100. So that is actually an increase, Barry.
Okay.
Even though I think the color may be red, and I'm sorry about that. I'll do better about that next time.
Okay, I'm seeing it now.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because the 2025, 26 is behind the 26, 27. Yeah.
Okay.
I was looking at it that way too.
Okay. Sure.
So,
Good question, Barry, because
hey, while we're here, Michelle Gantz is here with Main Street, and so is Jason Grayson, chairman of the board over there. It's Antoine to me, but Jason, everybody else, I mean, we go way back.
Make sure that's in the minutes.
Kindergarten. Actually, before that, I think, so he's had to put me for a long time. But Michelle and I talked a few weeks ago, after the famous meeting for the nonprofit committee meeting a couple weeks ago. And she told me some really cool stuff. And the one number I want to spit out, which I'm going to steal her thunder a little bit. She is the first full-time director they've ever had for Main Street. And since she's come there, when she came to work here on Main Street, there was a 56% vacancy rate on the square or the downtown district. Now there's less than 1% vacancy rate. Now, I know you had a lot to do with that, and also our investors and community partners have a lot to do that. So go ahead, Michelle, share a little bit about this $10,000 request. I know your budget exceeds that now. But.
Yes, it does. As David said, I am the first Main Street director that's been full-time. So Lawrenceburg and Lawrence County has held the status of being a registered Main Street community since 1989. We are one of the oldest in Tennessee. And we're not just state accredited, but we're actually nationally accredited. So that's obviously a big thing. As David pointed out, I took over in December of 2026. So not the greatest time to take over, but we did have approximately 55% of our buildings on the square were either empty or in disrepair of some kind. Since then, we have seen, like it said, less than 1%. And I say less than 1% because we have one building that is currently filled but not open to the public and kind of in stasis of nobody really knows where that's headed. If we look at all of the registered addresses on Public Square specifically, there is an active business or function of that property now. On top of that, the county invests $10,000 into Main Street Lawrenceburg. We return on that investment approximately $550,000 over the last 2 years. So if we're looking at $20,000, $550,000. Main Street has secured over $555,000 in grants. The largest of that, well, second largest of that actually, would being the Downtown Improvement Grant. But with the Downtown Improvement Grant, there was a $75,000 investment in that on private facades in our downtown. Our downtown holds the distinction of being one of the most historic downtowns. It's on the National Register. We have saved more buildings than most downtowns in Tennessee. With that $75,000 investment from the state, we saw over $350,000 in private investment over the last 2 years in downtown. Then additional grants on top of that. We're building a co-working space where we've brought in entertainment, arts, culture, many things to downtown, and I could touch on all of them, but I'm not gonna, it's been a very long meeting. So I just am here to say, I know that as a county, Main Street Lawrenceburg can seem like the city should be our main, which they are a large funder. On top of that, we receive contributions and support across the state, or across the area. But we are the county seat. We see over 8,000 cars pass through Lawrenceburg Square daily. That's 8,000 unique cars. But on top of that, over the last 3 years, we have seen an increase of at least 25% in daily foot traffic in downtown. And that's not including events and peak times. That's your average across there. So, yes.
Let me ask you a question. So being a registered Main Street
Yes.
organization, statewide, nationally, that opens up plenty of opportunity for
Yes.
us for grants and various things. Can you speak a little bit,
Yeah.
even the revitalization grant that we have down there?
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about
Downtown Improvement Grant is one of the number one ones. You cannot apply for that grant unless you are a registered Main Street in Tennessee. On top of that, it does open us up for various grants. It gives bonus points. I know recently the county received a grant for the courthouse, and the fact that the courthouse is within a Main Street district awarded bonus points to that. Additionally, grants that we've applied for, when we applied for the AARP community grant, we were one of the only ones in Tennessee that was awarded because we were a registered Main Street. So there's so many grants that get bonus points for having a downtown. The revitalization of the Pie Factory is a huge one. That would not have happened without there being a downtown, a registered accredited Main Street. The city was also awarded a historical development grant for the Crockett Theater recently for $300,000. That also received extra points for being in a registered Main Street community. It's also helped Lawrenceburg maintain its certification as a certified local government because we attend trainings that are necessary for that. Which I know doesn't affect y'all as much, but it's a little.
Well, thank you for that. There was also some questions after the nonprofit committee meeting that day when the vote was made to just kind of maybe push that over to us and let us make the decision. Is that one person said, we don't get a dime of tax money from downtown. Well, that's not true because the school system every dollar is spent in Lawrence County, whether it's in Lawrenceburg or Florida, wherever, the state takes 7% of that 9.75% sales tax, and the city, downtown, inside the city limits, the city gets 1.375, and the school system gets 1.375. Every year when they ask us to increase their MOE, or to increase, the MOE on their sales tax, that's where that money's coming from. So every dollar spent downtown, and the more revenue they generate down there, the more money we have that goes to schools. And not just Lawrenceburg school, not just the schools inside Lawrenceburg city, but that's money that gets spent all across the county. Again, Lawrenceburg is the economic hub of Lawrence County, and so I think so far for us, it's been a huge benefit to see the square revitalized. I don't know about y'all, but I just kind of like the fact that it's not all dilapidated and broke down. We need to cut off some of the free Wi-Fi that's going on around there, though. That would be good. So,
Actually, it is something we're working
Yeah.
on. It is something we're working on. And to touch on that, with every dollar that this county has invested, you guys are seeing approximately a $90 return on that. So for every dollar, you're seeing 50 back.
So Michelle, there was real questions among some of the commissioners, and I just want to address this here. There was a color run done down there. Okay. Look, some people just vote no if they don't understand the
We
truth.
can talk about this.
So I've explained it, but why don't you explain what really happened with all of that, and it wasn't some promotion of anything Pride Month or anything like that. Go ahead.
Well, first off, it happened in March.
Okay, good.
So there's number one. So I believe it was actually 2 years ago now that this event happened. It was a St. Patrick's Day color run. So color runs are very popular across the country. MLB hosts them, banks, non-charities, cities all over the country.
What's that mean in color run? They get powder, they put, what is it? What
So
is it?
typically
I don't
what-
run, so obviously.
Typically, what it is it's a 5K. Where registrants sign up, and then you have color stations along the way and at the start where you throw colored powder at them. It's fun. E.O. Kaufman has, it stains their
So when they're coming
shirts.
by, it stains their shirts, and they get to keep those as commemorative shirts.
Right. So being that it was St. Patrick's Day, we leaned into the leprechauns, pots of gold, rainbows. I don't think that it was a thought within my organization at all that this might have been perceived as a pride event or anything in that way. I have addressed it with the commission once before. I will say that. I don't know how it got re-brought up. But
Just want to clarify.
But I will say that it was not a pride event, but it was a fun event. The community had a blast. We ended up hosting 2 more that year. We had one on Memorial Day, which was obviously we leaned into the red, white, and blue, so that one didn't have rainbows. And then we had one at Halloween, and we leaned into, I believe, yellow, purple, and green because it was hot.
So just, was there a pot of gold? That's all I want to know.
Yeah, there was a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow.
That's all I need to know. I should have ran that race.
You should have run the race.
I was there.
You were there.
I was there. There wasn't
Did
there
you
wasn't any
run?
ducks hanging heads that I seen or anything.
Okay, good. Thank you, Phil.
Did you
I was there.
Find
I
out.
would run.
Heck no, I didn't. No, they off a big chasing. I get that them, but no, I was at the square.
Andrew,
There
I
had a
wanna
big
go
event
for a
at the
run.
Yeah.
No, he said he didn't run it.
Well, I'll run. You just got to be big chasing me. Barry's after me. I'm probably leaving.
I'm running. Barry's
Yeah.
chasing me. Ain't no doubt about it.
The only other thing I also wanted to touch on and do this is, whereas many other organizations in town, you have to pay to receive the support of that organization, whether it be, whatever, pick your poison to be a member. All businesses and registered businesses within the downtown overlay in our Main Street district receive the services of me and the Main Street organization regardless of financial support. So they receive grant support, they receive promotion, they receive all of the things regardless of if they give us $5 million. Nobody's giving me $5 million. $5, so regardless, they get that. So
I'd like to say something to that. So, in the political process that we've just went through, I didn't have time to really pay attention to anything going on. So my wife was worried about telling me anything coming in. So she'd seen some emails from Main Street. Well, though I didn't ask and I didn't fund them, and I won one of the awards, the automotive
Oh, wait, we have nothing to do with the Main Street wards.
You're not? Okay.
No.
Oh, no, that's to the advocates.
That, I just wanna put that
So
out
they
there.
call it Main Street?
It's very-
They do,
It's
it's
very
very confusing,
Okay.
yes, we have nothing
It's like,
to do
cause
with it.
I paid nothing and they sent me a thing in the mail
It's just-
saying, oh, congratulations.
I mean, I was gonna credit,
But they're
you can give
asking
me
you to put
credit.
out a thank
Oh,
you ad
oh,
in the
wait,
paper.
oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
And that's
Give
great.
yourself a business plug there, wasn't it?
That is another
That's
reason
what I-
that's kind of why we started referring
I
to
thought it
ourselves
was
as
them.
downtown Lawrenceburg, we don't have a Main
I
Street.
thought it was them.
Like
So
a road.
Main Street is the advocate and
Main Street Media,
Oh,
I've had
Tennessee.
other people bring that up.
Oh,
Main
time.
Street Media Tennessee is who bought the Advocate and the
I
Big
get a
Media.
lot of,
They own a lot of small
It's-
newspapers now. Main Street Media
Yes.
Tennessee.
And I've talked with them, like,
Yeah.
guys, we've got to figure this out because this is about customer service to our business, trying to make things clear, and it's muddy.
and I get a lot of
I said,
positive and negative during the award
Yeah.
voting period. Hey, why is,
I didn't know I could call you and complain about that.
you can absolutely, anybody can call me and complain. My phone number is everywhere. Or I have a coffee shop. Like, I'm so invested in downtown, I've opened my own business downtown.
Well, I
I've
think,
yet to visit that. I need to get.
I think
You
one
need
thing
to.
to realize too about revitalizing downtown is revitalized active buildings bring in a lot more property tax
Yes, they do.
Yes,
than a dilapidated building or an empty lot. So we're already benefiting from that standpoint.
That's what I shared with the commissioner, like, we're getting property tax directly to us, and then the schools are getting their portion of the sales tax that goes on down there, you know.
And now we're seeing people live downtown, build downtown, so.
Well, you got Airbnbs down
Yep.
there as well, so we're getting some hotel motel
Yep.
tax off of that, right? As well.
Well, actually, you're not yet, but that's another conversation.
Well,
Yeah, well, we're figuring that out.
That's something we need to figure out, but yes.
Just out of
we gotta pay
curiosity,
it back.
Yes.
most of the departments that we talked to in here are fully funded by us. What portion is this $10,000 of your entire, or does the county contribute?
Less than
to your entire-
10%.
So, okay. It's a very, very
Between-
small portion.
To be completely transparent, I have nothing to hide. 10,000 from you guys. The county or the city provides 35,000. We do also receive a contribution from the chamber in addition to this of 15,000. The rest of us are funded through fundraising, donations, grants, hustling.
Well, when you told me 56% vacancy rate, when you came work in 2020, December of
Yes,
2020.
December 2020, in the middle of the sidewalk reconstruction.
Yeah, and here we are now at less than 1% vacancy on the square again. Property values have increased.
Oh yes,
Property
tremendous.
taxes have gone up. It's a no-brainer to me, and I would highly recommend it to the budget committee that we approve these contributions across the board. Any other questions about any of this? Economic development questions, tourism questions, we got Egg here, let's,
I asked her, what percentage is the county of yours?
If you look at 400, or technically take out the 10,391, I guess you're about 40%.
we need to approve this one individually right now. Okay. Alright, I would entertain a motion to approve this, and now as far as the,
I got a question.
yes, sir.
I had a couple ideas where we might, if we can use that hotel motel tax for whatever we want to. I got a couple things that I was in question about that we might use some of it for.
Okay,
One of the requests in there was, for an additional building, he just wanted like $3,000 for the old jail museum. I think that would qualify as tourism. I think his total request was like $34,000.
No, our hotel motel tax has to go to economic and industrial development, not tourism. We have a private act that sets us apart from the rest of the state.
Wow, nobody told me that when I was asking about it about a month ago.
I did say
I
that.
think we
in the
did
last
say that in
budget
that
meeting.
meeting, that first meeting we had.
I think the city's about to do a building.
The
You don't-
city is contributing to that building.
Why can't we do a capital project?
So this does not go to tourism. The hotel motel tax does not go to tourism.
Portion of it does, but we have to fund economic and industrial development out of it. That's what our private act says.
I asked everybody. I think I've even asked our attorney. And he's sent me a bunch of stuff about it.
I actually sent him the private act before the last budget committee meeting.
So you're saying we can't use it for tourism?
We do on some of it, but
Can we use it for ADA compliant stuff?
that would be a wrong question.
He said we could in the email I sent him, or I received.
I don't think I got that email, so.
That's another thing I was gonna ask about, was could we use it for the elevator in the courthouse over here? It's $100,000. I know it's a government building, and he said that they frowned on government buildings, but also, just like it's been talked about, it's a historic building now. And with it being historic, that qualifies. So I think it's pretty important that elevator's working, especially since our attorney needs one.
So you're saying reduce what we give to the chamber, or what about, why can't we do those as capital projects in addition? Huh?
It's not like we're gonna have a surplus.
Yeah, in hotel
Yeah,
tax.
304
Yeah.
and then plus whatever the Hampton brings in.
I mean, we can certainly look at using any extra funds that come in for those projects. We can also fund them out of our fund balance. It's, you know, if that's something you wanna do. I mean, I'm with you on some ADA compliance stuff. I'm all about, we're trying to upgrade that all the time.
I know it said historic buildings too, and we just made that a historic building, so I don't see why we're working that.
And the old jail is also historic.
Historic building,
Or they're gonna build a metal building out back right for that.
Right.
for extra.
I'm all about contributing to that too. Let's help them do that.
Curtis will be happy to know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Yes, as speaking on behalf of Curtis, because I
Yeah, I
can.
bet you do.
Because I can. He's kind of appointed me as his successor. Yes, we are really excited about any contributions to the Historical Society. We have more stuff than we can display, and it's really becoming an issue in the jail. We can't display everything properly. And also, the floor for upstairs is dicey at best. And we're getting groups of 60, 70 students at a time, and we really have to coordinate, and like only 10 can come up at a time, and
Because of the weight.
so anything that the commission would provide would be greatly, greatly appreciated, because we want to show off our stuff.
Do you have a budget on a building?
No, because we've never really thought that far. We've never really dreamed that big, but we've gotten like the civil defense Jeep and everything like that now. We really want to do something where we can display like the Jeep. And so our military collection is probably the best in our region, I would say. We have a wide variety of military uniforms, signs, guns, and we really want to show that off.
At the museum, the jail.
The jail.
Old jail.
Right there. So.
To me, it's amazing that the sheriff's family lived there. It's
Yes.
their house. And
Yes.
then the jail was inside the same building.
Yes.
Their kids and their wife. And the wife cooked all the meals.
Yeah. So.
What a different world.
That's what we got, $34,000 project.
Yeah.
Is that what it looks like it's gonna cost?
Yeah.
That's what he had on the list.
They expected it.
And if you haven't been to the jail, I will plug right now. Please come and visit it. You can see pressed flowers from Abraham Lincoln's
Inauguration.
hall. No, his.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
I wanna come, but I always show up when they're closed for some reason.
Well, okay. Let me get your number, and we'll give you a private tour.
There you go.
Curtis and I will meet you down there, and Doyce, and we can show your.
So here you're talking about $34K for the building. Is what
The
they're doing.
city's funding part of that, correct?
Correct. Yes.
Some of them metal would probably jump on board with something like that too.
I was just trying to find a way to make sure we use the money that we needed first. Out of the taxes. We need to cover our stuff before we spend taxpayer dollars if we can, if we got revenue coming in from it.
What else did you say? Jail museum, and what else did you?
But we can't,
But again, according to that private act, Brandy,
the private act says that it's supposed to be used for economic development, economic and industrial development. It doesn't say anything about tourism, but audit has allowed us to use the excess for tourism in the past.
He didn't find it for me when I asked him. I asked him, was it the whole amount? Was there an agreement on it somewhere? And they said they couldn't find any
I
kind of
sent it,
agreement.
I sent him a copy of the private act on the day of the last budget committee meeting. I don't know when you talked to him, but I sent him a copy of that private act.
I was under the impression that it could be used for tourism, but I don't know why.
Well, the state of Tennessee, in the state of Tennessee, counties are supposed to use it for tourism, but we have a private act that says different. So I think that's why we're allowed to use the overage.
So we need to change the private act.
Well, if you change it, 100% of it has to go completely to your DMO or the new 2022 law.
It has to be 100% to tourism.
Yeah,
Change.
like, it does can't go to economic development after that.
It won't even come to us at all.
No.
Well, it would funnel through you guys.
Yeah.
Whoever your direct marketing organization.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it would come straight to us.
It would go straight to the Lord.
Again, like, we're at a point now where we know what we need, and if we need more, we'll come back. But 150 is our tourism program. And that's why we wanted you guys to have, like, think about it now, 2016 you had $90,000. Now you have more than that, and we're getting more too. Like, everyone's winning with tourism.
I remember when it was 10,000, all they did was made these
Little brochures.
that they stuck out in
I didn't understand it.
There's
welcome
tourism.
centers on the interstate. or something. It was crazy.
So I gotta ask you a question, we've kind of discussed this before. You know, there's a big pot of county money that goes.
Yeah.
And what I keep hearing is, you know, the sheriff's department, stuff like that, when they make purchases, whatever they do, it comes through us and all that stuff.
Sure.
So if you said you have 13 members of your board, plus the ex officios?
Yeah.
Are the ex officios voting members or not?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so, you know, 40% of your budget comes from county tax dollars, but we have one representative from the county on that. So, I mean, is there a way to add, and I'm not saying me.
Sure.
I know I got enough crap I got going on, but is there a way to add one or two? Because, I mean, if 13's comprised of business members, but almost half of the funding comes from government, it almost seems like that's a little imbalanced.
I think we're open to looking at anything. I think the best solution right now, just talking to them all, is actually expanding the legislative branch's position on the joint board and maybe figuring out what that looks like. Because then the question, think about the other side, the business members.
Because the joint board is who hires the chamber.
Right, yeah.
The joint board is who hires the chamber to do economic development.
Yeah.
So that's the business, I mean, that's the board.
Now, we can talk for all those through that. Yeah. The other side of that is how much government you have in the private sector.
I understand that, yeah.
So
I get both sides of it.
But I think it's worth the conversation, especially as we're looking at like the IDB's function and how we do this. We can do it better as far as structurally. Now, I'm bragging my team real fast. No one does it better than my team.
I'm not arguing.
Yeah. But, yeah.
All right,
And I really think we haven't had more than $10,000.
I mean, I'm more,
Keep it
I would
there.
love
Keep it
to
there,
open
please.
this conversation.
Please.
I would love to open the conversation to have more. I mean,
Well, Travis and Michelle, that's one reason.
Yes.
It's a 2-year MOU with them. So
Yes.
The private sector said we're gonna step up instead of harassing.
Yes.
figuring out. So, and again, that's the beauty of the partnership that we have.
and I mean, if we're having the discussion,
I'm sorry, I should have brought it up.
well, here's the thing, you do have a surplus, and we have,
Well,
that's a rainy
we'll
day
see,
fund.
we'll see.
he told me I could ask for more money.
It's been
I
raining.
did not.
It's been raining a lot this year too. It's raining.
He told me I could ask for more
There's some
money.
things that we have also going on, I'll rain on our parade. So, our road department is still not funded where it's supposed to be. We have, citizens asking for more, EMS, personnel, we have citizens asking for more deputies on at night. We have 4 deputies on at night, if y'all don't know, 4 deputies for the whole damn
Most people
county.
are blown away.
So you end up figuring out that they want 2 responding to a domestic if me and my wife get in a fight, which thanks God that don't happen.
You're gonna
Back
lose that.
27
Could
years.
happen in my house.
So you got 2 that need to respond to that. You got 1 that's been up to Vanderbilt for a medical. Now you have 1 dude. You have 1 dude. Y'all know how big
That's
our
if all
county
4 of them
is?
don't shit.
You know how big our county is? If you don't, get out and go shake hands from Summertown to Iron City. So really, for being 100% honest, if we funded everywhere where it ought to be, we're belly up. That's just the truth.
So we are moving 2.75
Sorry,
pennies
that's-
over to highway. So in this budget,
2.5.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we ain't got there yet.
yeah.
I agree, we're funding them more, but I think he'd still tell you that, yeah.
No, everybody needs more, right? We had
So does the one wanting the Taj Mahal in front of their house.
2 million something more dollars.
1.425%.
Yeah.
That's
So,
just saying.
but the ROI on the dollars we give to the chamber for tourism, for economic development, brings money back into this county hand over fist, and Main Street as well. And I recommend we fund them, Barry, and I'm all for helping with these other things.
It's gonna get us in a bind is what it's gonna do.
What, funding the chamber?
All the growth and stuff in this county, it's gonna get us in a bind. We don't even know how many people's coming into Magna. We don't know any of that stuff. We don't know how many people's moving in. We don't know how much schools we're gonna have to add on to. And the more we keep getting companies in this county, we need to wait a little while, see where this one lands at, and then we can start recruiting again. But we can't just keep hammering and hammering and hammering. We're gonna be belly up, like you said. Cause when they all get in here and then they want all their sheriff's department, all their sheriffs and all that, we're gonna fund it.
I mean, Barry, we got 9,000 Lawrence counties that leave our county every day to go work somewhere else. A lot of them would like
Most
to
of them are
retain.
medical people.
A lot of them,
half of them are
half are
manufacturing.
manufacturing. A lot of them are
How
like,
many of them up here are even from Lawrence County that are working? in
at
there?
Magna,
So I asked the question, and you know, I appreciate the question. I'll start there. They just hired their 200th employee, which I think is pretty cool. It's their business, right? And they weren't really forthcoming with how many were the breakup or makeup, but the majority of people are Lawrence County or right around. They did bring a lot of people in because that's what, when plants come to town, that's what they do. They bring their leadership team in. Like, but you go to Craig, like we did a big ribbon cutting yesterday for them. It's incredible. It's a bunch of young men and women, mostly Lawrence Countyans. And ultimately, though, everywhere in Tennessee, there's people. You go to the pie factory, you see people you don't meet. So, I mean, I understand the premise of the question. I don't know that it's a valid question either.
so my friend Wade from Summertown has worked in Smyrna at Nissan for years. And he was able to get a management position at Magna. I saw him in Mexico a couple weeks ago, and our kids played travel together for years. He was so thankful, so excited that he was able to land a job there. He redeems 3 hours a day worth of travel, more than 3 hours a day worth of travel, to be with his kids and his wife. And he's working right there at Magna when the plant manager's not there and the assistant plant manager's not there, Wade is third in command. He's a Summertown boy. And he is stoked about it. He loves working there. And I think it's hard sometimes for us to know exactly how it's all gonna play out. I know their overall goal here is 1,000 jobs, is what their dream is, Magna's, but they got 360 plants worldwide or something like that.
It's
So,
crazy amount.
and it's all based on market stuff and presidents, who comes in, what kind of initiatives going on as far as how industry goes. When the EV market, with Trump coming into office, I mean, there's a lot changed with EVs, which I agree with a lot of what he's done on all of that. But that also made Magna have to retool and think through other things, and they've actually diversified now, and they've got more contracts than ever. So this plant's actually stronger in the face of a political downturn or upheaval than it was before. And so they figured out in 200. That's news to me.
Yeah.
I was thinking it was still around.
But even if it's
500.
75% of those people are Lawrence Countyans, that's 150 Lawrence Countyans. You know, that we didn't have 175 Lawrence County jobs before that. If we go to 1,000, that's 750 opportunities for Lawrence Countyans. If you just want to use those percentage numbers.
I'm not trying to bust you, but if it is 75, because that, you said the other day you found out there's 4 people working there. And listen, I understand it's private business. You can't force a private business, but if we're giving them land and giving them tax incentives and stuff like that, it kind of is a big deal whether or not they're hiring Lawrence County people. So I hope you're right that it is 75%
Sure.
or somewhere.
And again, I don't think that's something that we'll ever.
But there's really no way you can control it.
Right.
There isn't
Private-
any way
private
you control
business.
it, but
It's a kind of a risk you take. John, Mr. Buck.
Is that all right if I ask a question?
Yeah.
Okay. With regards to the chamber, do you drive revenue from your membership individuals?
Yes. Like, are you asking, like, do we get money from? Yeah, the private sector, absolutely.
Right, you do from your membership
Yeah.
base?
Yeah.
And what services do you provide for them?
Consulting, business support, permitting, all types of things. Mostly marketing. It depends on the type of business it is. You know, we do some business development for contractors, as an example. We do, you just named it, we're just a team of go-getters. But also,
A
let me
lot
say
of
this.
networking type things too, I mean.
Yeah, because we want our businesses to shop local too. Like when Magna comes to town, like they brought a big GC in, but our job was then to make sure every contractor in town got a piece of that pie as a sub, which is great for them. So that's part of the thing. So let me say this, because Michelle alluded to it. We do have members and they do get the service, but because we're government funded in a big way, Travis, as you were alluding to, I don't care if you're a member or not. We're going to be a value-first organization. If you're a business that needs help, wants to grow in Lawrence County, you're going to get it. I hope that turns around and they invest in us and monetarily. But
Now, do you guys have a sliding scale on, depending on the size of the business, how much you generate
Yeah.
in revenue?
yeah. So our basic membership is $250 a year. Most of our small businesses fall there, going all the way up to $10,000 a year.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
we were talking about Lawrence Countyans and getting jobs when plants and factories and things like that come in. I've got one word: Saturn. Does anybody remember what happened there?
They're still here.
That was Ned McWhorter's dude.
Yeah.
They're still here.
So let me say something too, if y'all been paying attention, the unemployment numbers in Lawrence County have gone down, in a good way in the last, just the latest news that came out, I think we're at 3.8 or 9.
Murray County's.
Murray County shot up, yeah. So our unemployment's gotten better, we're still right, just a notch above the, state average, which is good. We were in the bottom 10 just a few months ago, so. But again, organizations like this have a lot to do with that and helping small business. Of course, people got to spend money here. And another thing, when we do have a plant like Magna with 200 jobs, those people are eating lunch here. They're buying, they're spending more time in Lawrence County. Even if they don't live in Lawrence County, they're buying breakfast here. A lot of times,
And they're bringing their friends in and their customers in. Like this in town this week, Mercedes, Honda, General Motors. I mean,
they're staying in
they're
hotels.
staying in
and
hotels,
they're eating
or
at
eating-
restaurants.
and so I mean, we're on the map already, and that's a good thing because it's going to drive.
Talk a
everybody.
little bit about, sorry to interrupt you. Talk a little bit about, because I agree with you, Barry, in a lot of ways on, hey, this could take off and go too fast, and how are we going to handle the traffic? We see the growing pains all around us. But speak a little bit about how, we gave this land for $1 an acre to Magna, and of course, it's the largest industrial investment dollar-wise ever in our county. That's an unprecedented thing that we did. You guys voted for that. Now talk about, here we are with this shovel-ready site, ready to rock and roll. We don't have to just give away the farm anymore.
No. We actually showed it yesterday to the company, and we talked with friends and consultants, and the deal that we made with Magna was a good deal. I'll say that. Let me start there. Moving forward, we should never go below what we gave for it. We should actually ask more, because land down in Limestone County, Alabama, this company bought up something for $95,000 an acre. I'm talking like 500 acres. We're seeing people looking around and doing that. So with that in mind, we can be picky on the type of business.
Amen.
Craig is a prime example of that for us. And I'll say this: y'all remember when the Skec building was built? Everyone was expecting 1,000 jobs there, and they were going to expand the building, whatever. And that would have been cool and great. Would have made good headlines. But we found a community partner that acts like us. They get our culture. They know how to invest in people. They're a family-run business, and they announced 80 jobs at first. They're about to be at 110, and now they're talking about going more. And it's because it just fits.
So we did a ribbon cutting at their building yesterday. The new buckets they're going to be building there it's for like the big strip mining.
Yeah.
87 yards, 87-yard buckets. It's
30 feet wide. I mean,
It's unreal. They're going to build right here in
some of the
Lawrence, which is
biggest
really
in the
cool.
world.
And our guys coming out of Votech.
Yeah.
I saw Chris Ramsey was in there. He's the maintenance director.
Yeah.
Chris Ramsey. I mean, I knew a ton of people in there.
Yeah.
They're all Lawrence County guys.
Yeah.
There's a few. He said 5 counties. He's got
Yeah, 5
employees
counties
from 5
represented.
but the overwhelming majority of people from
Yeah.
Lawrence County. I know a ton of them working in there, and that's anyway. So we can be picky and choosy with what kind of industry comes to town. That's the point I really want you to make.
Yeah.
And then think about this: our property tax rate going, guys, just a few years ago it was 3.1 or something. 12 years ago, and then it went to 2.9. Then it came down to 2.01. 2.01 when we came into office, Barry and Travis, and then and now it's going down to 1.47. 1.48 is the state recommended rate, but I'm recommending we even drop it a little lower. But, so when industry looks at that, that's a bargaining chip in and of itself,
Yeah.
right?
And now we don't have to give away property taxes anymore.
We don't have to give
It's
away
true.
the 60/40
Right.
deals.
Right.
We don't have to do that.
Yeah.
We've got more of the bargaining chips on our side.
Yeah, we have a leverage.
Because they want to be in Middle Tennessee.
I'll tell you, like I used to tell TR, nobody cares what the tax rate is.
That's what the bottom dollar is.
What's their
Bottom
tax
dollar
bill,
is.
what's their tax bill.
That's right. I know.
And I do
But the
gotta
tax
say-
rate affects that.
But, well, back when everybody's property values were low and they were paying $3,
It's different.
they didn't
And
care.
it worked. Yeah. Now the assessments are
Now their
higher.
assessments are higher and the tax rate's lower, but that, all they care about is their bill. They don't care what, 90% of the people can't tell you what the tax rate is.
Not gonna do the.
They just know how much they pay.
Absolutely. And I do gotta say this, I've said it 100 times, that I think we really need to be picky and choosy, and here's why. And I've heard her amen back here, I understand when you bring people in, they spend money here and all that stuff, but listen, when I graduated school, you know, you come out of school making 30, 40,000, the average home sale was 70 or 80. Well, now they may come out of school and they're making 40,000, hopefully, but the average home sale is 300. And the more people we bring in that buy properties for 3 times the value, it raises those values. And listen, I got 3 little boys at home.
There's no such
If I don't
thing,
do something for them, they're not gonna be able to afford a home.
there's no such thing as a starting
And
home.
you're gonna be sitting in the
I
same
agree
seat
with
I
that,
am.
Travis. I agree
We
with that.
have to set them up. If nobody's setting those kids up right now, they're not gonna be able to hardly work. And you know, so we gotta be real careful. The more growth sounds great. Hey, more money, but are we running ourselves out? You
But a
know?
lot of the growth is for us. I mean, we've only seen one major industrial partner come here with 200 jobs.
I understand.
Right? So that's not, it's the fact that people are leaving these overtaxed states all over the country. And they're moving here, and a lot of retirees are moving here, people that's got money, and they're buying, and listen, they'll pay.
Well, they're selling their shack for $1 million and
That's
coming here
right.
buying a home for whatever you
Their
ask.
dollar's
I
worth
don't care.
3 times the money here.
I understand you can't stop it all. I'm just saying, I don't know that we need.
But I mean, I don't know that growth is the reason why. I don't know that economic.
Well, it's certainly not local. I mean, maybe it contributes a little bit because we're an attractive place to live. We have a great downtown, right? Like, they're the best place on earth.
Quality of
Great
life.
library.
People are looking for that.
That's right.
Our secret is out.
The secret's out.
It is.
But it's a southeast problem. You know?
I was gonna say, I don't think there's a community in the southeast that's not dealing with
The
the
exact
exact
same
same
Well,
problem.
Tennessee was the number one most
Yeah.
moved to state in America 2 years ago. We're number 3 right now.
Yeah.
South Carolina's number 1 right now, I think. Or
Yeah.
Iowa for some reason is right at the top.
It's
Uh,
really
Getting away from everybody.
Maybe that's it. But like,
Montana's coming.
Yeah, Montana.
And I will go on record saying I think you're one of the best at what you do. And I've
I
told you
agree
that several
with that.
times, and I'm not wishy-washy. I've been this way forever.
and your whole team. He's got a great team.
I've got a great team.
I've always
I'm
been
just-
a- let's
Sometimes
slow
the
the
road
grade
are
down.
too good at it for what we're doing to plan to get there. That's the.
I will make you one
That's it.
suggestion.
Yes, sir.
When you, next time you schedule your little coffee breakfasts, go pick out some businesses that's been in town forever. Go to these old shops that have been around.
Well, they have the
Been-
opportunity to do that.
Yeah,
We're
everybody has.
scheduled 18 months out. I mean, and we're glad to target.
It's like you see these brand new ones, but you forget about the ones that's been here paying taxes all them years and keeping this county going. Don't forget about them.
We never do.
And we need to schedule some stuff in the
Yeah,
evenings
if
where
you schedule a tea party instead of a coffee party, I might come.
So, hey, I just opened a coffee shop that serves tea downtown, so
I'm talking about
anytime.
at 5 o'clock in the evening.
I
Everybody's
don't
off work.
think
They're always coming at 11 o'clock.
we need to talk to his boss and say, they don't need to still come. So
No, I've been Long Island tea.
You talking about twisted
You want
tea.
that relaxed tea.
Well, they have some of them too, I reckon.
You go around the square, you find all kinds of things.
Guys, we do need to vote on this. We do need to vote on this. I'd entertain a motion to fund this. I think these recommendations are well noted, and I want this representation change to be made on the joint board for sure. And I think I'm open to conversations even at some deeper levels, more spread out representation from the commission, so.
I think that's
So
fair enough.
are we doing just 58, 120? Is that what we're voting on?
Yes, 58,
I'll
120,
make that motion.
okay. Do we
Go
have?
back now, what'd you say?
The 58, 120 is just industrial development.
Industrial development.
Do we have a second?
I second it.
All right, any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
All right. All right, motion carries 3-1 on the vote. All right,
The next page is just a grant that we received in the current year for, economic and community development. It was not a multi-year grant, so there's nothing in there for.
Okay. Let me stop right here and say, Main Street crew, thank you for being here tonight. Egley, thank you for being here. You're all welcome to remain. I don't know how much
But you
longer
ain't gotta stay till 11.
before we go, but you do not have to stay. Library, thank you, Marie, Kane as well. Whoever needs to go, certainly you're welcome to go. You can hang with us all night.
You trying to learn?